I know that if you've been keeping up with the news, you are wondering what is happening in Prince George's County, right? Why is there so much controversy, especially after we've seen maps that have come from the commission? So today, a community activist and demographer, DW, will be walking us through both maps. And I think for folks who are tuning in, I think that is the most critical piece that's been missing from this conversation. The council, unfortunately, has not made interactive maps available. So all everyone has been looking at is just images of maps, and you haven't been able to zoom in and see what streets, are actually, how the maps are carving up communities and streets and so forth. So I'm hoping that the information provided today will be helpful.
I'm going to jump right into it and get us started by introducing DW, a Prince George's County resident and an expert in the study of statistics relating to the changing structure of human populations. Now, as a demographer, as Joanne stated, DW currently works with the Brookings Institution as a research assistant studying urban geography. DW will take us through a short overview of the commission map and the Davis map and the new maps changes to communities. So hold on to your seat and get ready to learn a lot or expand your current base of knowledge with the maps.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the two maps that are effectively before the council. The redistricting commission map on the left, which if the council doesn't act will become law at the end of the month, and the Davis-Franklin proposal described in Council Resolution 123-2021. So the redistricting commission proposal, which was created over the course of about 6 months with public input by the redistricting commission and released in September, is what's called a lease change proposal. This means that it's as close to the current districts as is possible, while being consistent with the constitutional requirement that you have roughly equal district populations. So there are 3 minor changes. This area on the District 2, District 1 border moved from District 1 to District 2. There's a slight shift in population between District 3 and District 4 in Glendale, and the town of District Heights is moved from District 6 to District 7. On the other hand, the Davis-Franklin map makes a lot more significant changes. Every district has changes to its borders, some of them very, very major changes. And the largest changes, it's worth noting, are inside the Beltway in what is historically the poorer and less politically influential part of the county, which is notable and somewhat concerning. So I'm going to go through each of the 9 districts and discuss what's different and in some cases why it's of particular concern. So here's District 1 as it currently stands in the commission proposal. It's essentially everything north of the Beltway and then the tract of federal lands consisting of the Beltsville Agricultural Research Preserve, Goddard, and the Patuxent National Wildlife Refuge. So the whole eastern edge of this border, there's a large area of undeveloped federal land separating District 1 from the rest of the county. On the left, it's just the Beltway, and to keep its population equal, it also has the northern part of College Park, which is, for the most part, currently in District 1. This is the northern part above Greenbelt Road, which is more suburban and less connected to the university. If you look back and forth between the commission proposal and the Davis-Franklin proposal, you'll note a minor change here, which doesn't make that significant a difference. A change over here, which I'll get into on the next slide, and this very large protuberance of District 1 extending 3 miles inside the Beltway down to East-West Highway at the southern border of College Park. I'll talk about that more when I get to District 3. But what's going on here is actually of some concern, because right here, this corner area, which right now is deep in District 1, but would become in District 4, is part of the historic pre-Civil War Black community of Vansville, which would be divided and in particular would be separated from basically all of the developed areas near it. Right now, everything north of the Beltway and the agricultural preserve and such are in District 1. This would now be pushed into a district including Bowie that goes down to Central Avenue, even though it's well north of the Beltway. This is something which residents of the community have objected to, and the representative for District 1, Tom Dernoga, has objected to. There's no clear reason why it couldn't have been kept in District 1, even if the other parts of the plan were to be kept, which suggests that this plan was not made with well thought out considerations for how it affected some of the neighborhoods that were changed. Next, District 2. District 2 is the Langley Parks area and Hyattsville. And the major change here is that the Davis-Franklin proposal adds the town of Edmonston to it. This is somewhat concerning because Edmonston, along with the port town communities of Cottage City, Colmar Manor, and Bladensburg, they're all very small municipalities and do a lot of coordination and historically have been in the same district and would like to remain in the same district. But the others stay in District 5 while this moves to District 2. The purported reason for this, which I'll get into more, has to do with the demographic balance of District 2, but that I'll handle when I'm looking at numbers rather than maps. Next, District 3. This covers the streetcar suburbs areas of College Park, Riverdale Park, Berwyn Heights, University Park, the communities that are most affected by the University of Maryland, where the most students live, and where even if you're not a student, if you live there, you're heavily affected by university traffic, by having large numbers of students in your neighborhood, and by a lot of development that's currently going along Route 1, which is being turned into walkable neighborhoods. It also contains New Carrollton and areas going out to Glendale. The big change here between the plans, although there's a minor one in Glendale, is this 3-mile extension of District 1 that now covers most of the residential areas of College Park while leaving the University of Maryland, including its Discovery District in District 3. It runs for most of this distance right along Route 1, which is awkward since Route 1, it's not like one of the arterials in the county that's basically a highway. Route 1 is a walkable area that's having walkable transit-oriented development built around it. And that development really needs to be coordinated on both sides of the road. Having two different council members representing the two halves is going to frustrate that. Also, as I said, it separates the University of Maryland campus from the neighborhoods that are most impacted by things on the University of Maryland campus. And finally, I'd like to highlight the historically Black community of Lakeland, which is located roughly here, just north of Paint Branch, in the area that would become part of District 1. This community has a fairly long history. It's been a historically Black community for over a century, partly because it was essentially the only area in what's now College Park that didn't use restrictive covenants to keep African-American residents out. And in the 1970s, most of it was bulldozed as part of a misguided urban renewal process. Lakeland is currently working on a truth and reconciliation and reparations process for this that's been coordinated with District 3 people. And a number of people from Lakeland organizations are concerned about having to recreate their relationships with a new district, which is currently represented by Tom Dernoga, who lives up in Laurel, pretty much as far away in the district as you can be from Lakeland. So they would really prefer to stay in District 3. Also, Old Town College Park is essentially split in half, with half of it staying in District 3 and the other half being kept as a corridor to make this southernmost bit of the city be part of District 1. Next, we have District 4, the Bowie and Greenbelt District. The changes here are actually pretty minor. You can see that Greenbelt Park moves into District 3, but with the exception of a few apartments, and here that's federal parkland, it doesn't matter much. The big issue is, as I mentioned, the bit of historic Vansville being moved into District 4. District 5, on the other hand, has some more significant changes. As you can see, the Seat Pleasant and Northern Capitol Heights area gets moved from District 7 into District 5, and instead, District 5 loses the whole area around FedEx Field. This is particularly notable because, along with FedEx Field, the Landover Mall site, even though, as you can see, it doesn't naturally follow the line of District 5 in the Franklin Davis proposal, also is moved to District 5. It's unclear why this would be, since it's in its own precinct and it's in a block with no residents, so moving it there wasn't to balance populations, and it's in a block group that otherwise isn't part of District 6. However, the site is a major target for redevelopment by the county. And Derek Leon Davis is the representative for District 6. One has to wonder whether he hopes that having it in his district will give him influence over the redevelopment, or, since he's going to be leaving the council due to term limits, the opportunity to get some sort of lobbying job for someone who wants to develop it if it's in his former district. Also, FedEx Field is moved. This is concerning because the council member who represents FedEx Field has particular influence over a fund of money that is paid to the county every time there are non-NFL events at FedEx Field. These grants are supposed to support nonprofits that help low-income families. Right now, FedEx Field's in District 5, one of the districts that has a lower median income than the county median. It would move to District 6, which would be the richest district in the county, and thus whose council member might be the least well-placed to be directing funds that are supposed to provide social services to low-income families in the area of the neighborhood, since that's going to be fairly divergent from most of the rest of the area that council member represents. District 6, I've already discussed most of its northern border changes with respect to District 5. Beyond that, District 6 loses some area inside the Beltway here, but its changes aren't that substantial. District 7, on the other hand, as we noticed, loses the Seat Pleasant area and also the Branch Avenue Metro Station and some of the areas around the town of Morningside. District 8, the main change are it loses the Andrews Air Force Base and associated communities, but gains a bunch of relatively low density, some of it still rural land. And here, in an area that it's worth noting is much more similar in terms of its built environment and demographics to District 9 than to the rest of District 8, which is relatively built up, even though it's outside the Beltway. District 9 historically has been the rural and low density exurban parts of the county and stays similarly, except that it gets Andrews Air Force Base and the town of Morningside. So why do the proponents of this plan say that they proposed it? They claim that they wanted to unite municipalities. Under the commission plan, College Park is divided between districts in 1 and 3. There's also a minor split where some annexed commercial parts of Landover Hills are in a different district than the rest of the city. The Davis-Franklin plan still splits College Park into districts 1 and 3 and doesn't change the situation in Landover Hills. So it's kind of hard to argue that it's uniting municipalities. The original Davis plan, the plan Davis originally put forward, did put all of College Park into District 1, but when the University of Maryland College Park objected that this separated them from the Discovery District, which is in Riverdale Park, and from communities around them that were important, Mel Franklin amended it to move the university back to District 3. But instead of, say, putting the entirety of College Park in District 3, which would be consistent with uniting municipalities, he's changed from the original north-south split in College Park to the east-west split I showed you, where there's a very thin finger of District 1, which is an outside the Beltway district centered in Laurel, all the way down to East-West Highway. This is effectively a worse split than the one that previously existed. The College Park government is strongly opposing it. And in fact, Davis called dividing College Park patently unfair to all of the municipalities while he was voting for Franklin's amendment to introduce the split back into his plan. I'll let you decide what you think of that. But overall, I have to say that the claim that this plan unites municipalities is hypocritical. It, in fact, divides College Park worse than it was divided before. The other claim we've heard from the proponents is that it makes a majority Latino district. In terms of Black representation, both plans have 6 Black majority districts out of 9 total, which is roughly consonant with the county's population being 63% Black. In addition, since the county is majority Black, the 2 at-large seats are effectively Black majority, so there's no concern that Blacks are underrepresented by the distribution of seats on the council. The county is 20% Latino overall, which would on its own suggest that a majority Latino district might be warranted. However, only 7% of the voting age citizens in the county are Latino. That means that while you can make a district where the majority of people who live in it are Latino, you're not going to create a district very easily with a majority Latino electorate, which is what actually matters for representation. And contrary to the proponents' claims, I'll show that the Davis-Franklin plan doesn't actually create a majority Latino district. So if you look at voting age populations, so everyone of voting age, whether they're a citizen or not, whether they're eligible to vote or not, then, which is what the Davis-Franklin proponents have been saying, then yes, the District 2 goes from being 49.7 or so percent Latino to about 51%. This is a very, very small change, but technically speaking, it does push it over the 50% mark while keeping the other districts roughly the same, because these changes are too small to actually make substantial demographic changes. As while they're affecting a lot of communities negatively, they're not changing the basic racial demographics of the districts. Furthermore, there's more than one way to count the racial breakdown of a district. As the former delegate for the Langley Park area, Victor Ramirez, has pointed out, if you use the total population, District 2 is already majority Latino and has been for quite a while. 54% of its residents are Latino. Under the Davis-Franklin proposal, that would go up to 55. If, on the other hand, you look at eligible voters, which the decennial census doesn't count, but every year the census through what's called the American Community Survey provides estimates of, District 2 is 24% Latino under the Redistricting Commission and 24.7% Latino under the Davis-Franklin proposal. So even though they're telling a feel-good story of, look, we pushed the voting age population just above 50%, they haven't actually created a district where even nearly a majority of actual eligible voters are Latino. So they're not creating a district that, demographically speaking, will have a Latino voting majority. That said, what really matters for whether a group is represented is, do they have someone speaking out for them on the council? And for the past 4 election cycles, for 16 years, getting close to 20 since we're getting close to the next one, District 2 has consistently elected Latino council members. So even if that 49.5 to 50.5 difference is the difference you want to focus on, it's clear that 49.5, when it's still a plurality, since the remainder of the population is divided relatively equally between non-Hispanic Black and non-Hispanic white residents, is enough that Latinos in District 2 are being represented. So it's really hard to balance these effectively not going to make a difference changes with the serious cost to communities this imposes. Also, if we look at income and density, we see that under both plans, the incomes of districts tend to stay relatively similar, and the densities of districts tend to stay relatively similar. So you're not seeing major changes in the communities represented in that way. Honestly, I personally would like to see next time there's a redistricting commission, them considering doing things in a way that gives better representation to low income and high density areas inside the Beltway. But there's no real difference here between these two plans. So what is the difference? What is the potential motivation for this? And the main thing that I can see is choosing who can run for offices. This isn't partisan gerrymandering in the traditional sense, because Prince George's County is a one-party county. The Republican Party effectively doesn't exist here, so no one is trying to gerrymander them out of office. On the other hand, to run for a district seat on the county council in the upcoming election 2022, you have to have lived in your district since last June. Several of the changes to district lines seem tailor-made to remove certain candidates from districts where they've historically been successful. The first and perhaps most blatant of these is that 3-mile-long, half-mile-wide protuberance of District 1 deep into District 3. Down here in the southernmost part of College Park, the neighborhood of Calvert Hills, Eric Olson, the former District 3 council member from 2006 to 2014, lives. He has started campaigning for the 2022 District 3 primary, and since he was relatively popular, there's a non-trivial chance that he could win that primary. However, if you look at the map with the protuberance from the Davis-Franklin plan added, you can suddenly see that he's now in District 1, a district that is represented by someone from up in Laurel, where most of the district's population lives. Given that it's really hard to see another reason for putting the Calvert Hills communities here in District 1, and given that despite claiming they wanted to reunite municipalities, Davis and Franklin introduced this east-west split in College Park instead of keeping it united in one district or returning to the original north-south split. It really looks like this was targeted specifically at him. The other two are a little less obvious, but still concerning. And Crystal Loriada is a progressive activist who in 2018 lost the District 7 primary by 31 votes to the incumbent, or to the person who's now the incumbent. The seat was open at the time. The Davis-Franklin plan moves her to District 5, which would mean she would no longer be allowed to run in 2022 to challenge the person who she came very close to beating last time. Likewise, Tamara Davis Brown lost the 2018 District 9 primary by 55 votes. The Davis-Franklin plan moves her into District 8 by moving this large tract of area that's relatively undeveloped and demographically more similar to District 9 than District 8 into District 8. Again, it removes someone who came very close to winning the primary last time from having the opportunity to contest that seat again. Anyway, that's everything I've got to say about this. Thanks for listening, and I'm gonna end the screen share now.
Thank you so much, DW, for your analysis of the two maps, the redistricting map that was done by the commission and the Davis-Franklin map.